like look for knockoffs, and that's not the case. I'm actually a sharp, smart fighter.
So, well, I'm here. Who wanted to fight with me?
I really don't care who's in front of me. I don't feel like no fighter can beat me.
My goal is to demolish everybody, to be honest. Everybody that's in my way. The pinnacle to any weight division is to have all of the belts, all of the titles. Body work,
Welcome to Body Work. Welcome back. It's Michael Rogers. Welcome to Body Work Boxing. Late on a Sunday afternoon, I had a lot on my mind, man. I was kicking it with the in-laws, doing the family thing today, and while I was out and about, I was over my man Pop channel and talking with some people, man. Like, and we definitely proved that we always don't agree on everything. You know what I'm saying? And it's good over there because if you got any kind of common sense, I don't care how much of a diehard you are. If you got some common sense, you can sit down and talk it out. You can hash it out. And that's normally not the case in today's boxing conversations, man. I think that they have been extremely great at the divide and conquer strategy. So before I actually come out and start talking about the subject matter, I got to go all the way back into the curriculum because I've been saying they've been using this divide and conquer strategy on us. And I've been the one right here putting stakes in the ground and keeping score of actually what's really happening at the end of it all. Like, after we done got ping pong from left to right, east to west, over and over, I've been keeping track of what the end results been. I keep shit binary around these parts. It's X's or O's. Ain't no in-betweens. And I'm seeing this being distributed throughout the boxing conversation today, this whole divide and conquer strategy where it's really enacting on the fans, and at the end of the day, man, we be getting ready to blow a head gasket, you know what I'm saying, have a stroke, be ready to pull up. You got two main people out here, man. You got two main, let's say internet personalities, ready to pull up and smoke each other based on some boxing talk. From two cities where it might be a connection. If we can ever get this fight across the finish line, which we didn't, that would be an O as far as goals. That soccer ball did not land in that goal. You know what I'm saying? One team is playing and the other, we don't know. But this divide and conquer strategy, man, what is divide and conquer? Divide and conquer is a strategy used by elites, often understood as the oppressors, to break down the relationships and unity between subjugated, often racial groups struggling for justice, freedom, and liberation in order to maintain the status quo. Yikes, I gotta read that twice. What is divide and conquer? Divide and conquer is a strategy used by elites, often understood as the oppressors, to break down the relationships and unity between subjugated, often racial groups struggling for justice, freedom, and liberation in order to maintain the status quo. He who controls the written page controls the thinking of this age. How do narcissists divide and conquer? Twisting words and intentions is a narcissist's specialty. They take innocent conversations and spin them into malicious attacks, painting themselves as the victim and their family as the aggressors. This manipulation creates confusion and distrust, further deepening the divide. That's so nice, I gotta read it twice. Twisting words and intentions is a narcissist's specialty. They take innocent conversations and spin them into malicious attacks, painting themselves as the victim and their family as the aggressors. This manipulation creates confusion and distrust, further deepening the divide. And what are we talking about? The divide and conquer strategy being used in boxing today. Well, why'd you call the title Stormin' Norman, Mike? If you listen, I'm gonna tell you, right? I called it because, man, they've been doing an excellent job at dividing and conquering us, and I don't really think we see it. That's why I gotta come out every so often and put a stake in the ground. And I know when the average person see this, you was thinking, dang, man, Mike, what is he alluding to? It's something negative. No, it's not. Who is this boxing dad that's taking the internet by storm? Who is this boxing dad? Who is this boxing dad, right? That has made such an impact that on an early Saturday morning where there's nothing to do, they bring up his son touching Tank and sparring. And that's what kind of got me. I'm just like, man, here we go with another person that done touched Tank and sparring. I'm like, is anybody gonna? But then when I looked at the originator and what was going on, I said, well, dang, man, you know content got to be low. You know you ain't got no pulse, no creativity if you doing some stuff about years ago in 2021 or prior when somebody allegedly touched Tank in sparring. But I was always of the ilk that what happens in sparring stays in sparring. Like motherfucker wasn't running around when I was out there in that football field talking about, man, I had 2 and 3 interceptions in practice and all this. Is like, okay, that's practice, man. We working on shit, right? It all counts when we under them big bright lights, right? That's not necessarily the case, because that's what kind of piqued me. So I got to looking at it, and lo and behold, he was there. He jumped in. He saw what was going on. He said, you know what? I might have to represent. The very first thing he did was check the title. He said, man, listen, first of all, you talking about some shit that didn't happen back in 2021. You talking about some shit that was happening back in 2021, Holmes. And he was political in what he said it, but I said, hey, I peeped the move. I said, oh, we dealing with, hey, first of all, because people say whenever you come in, you got to establish your whatever, you know what I'm saying? He came in and was like, listen, you talking about some old shit. We in 2024, but you talking about some shit that happened back in 2021. He earned points with me for that, because it's like, check that shit. Like, why are you talking about this? Some shit that happened in 20. You chose to do this. Now, if it's some behind the scenes behavior, the world will never know. Riddle me this, riddle me that. I don't know. You can rent a troll. I do know that's a method. I know you can fake a beef. That is a method. I know that you can be bought. We see it over and over again. So at first I said, okay, cool. Now is your opportunity. Now he done checked you on the fact that you bringing up some old shit, on some old divide and conquer shit, some shit. You won't kill shit or let shit die. So all you gonna do is put out some nasty shit and let shit fly. A bunch of mudslinging. And the whole Ryan Garcia build-up with Devin Haney, it was all about Tank and Devin and sparring. But because what I do in making a living in life is part of my goal is to recognize patterns. Recognize routines. Me be checking out them things. So when I see something done over and over again, it's just like me playing in high school, playing cornerback. Route recognition. Where they going? What is their purpose? What are they looking to do? Everybody looking to score. I was trying to stop that shit. Because everybody wanted to be highlight. They wanted to be front row. They wanted to be seen. I wanted to stop that shit. Because if you grew up in the Ray Lewis, Ed Reed era, you know that defense wins championships. But since we talking about boxing, I'm gonna stay on the topic. The man is taking the internet by storm. He came on to represent because he basically got pulled into some shit because I already read one of the characteristics. You'll take an innocent conversation and twist it into something else. There were parts when I seen this man speaking about his son in a manner where he was so confident to somebody, two people that's not even in the business. They do the same thing I do. Give their opinions. Telling this man who's in the business, who has actually got his son to the point where he is, what he should do and what he shouldn't. Because I remember a while back, I remember a while ago, I said, man, when you actually talking about a fight, when you're dealing with a father and a son, where does like promotion stop and then going above and beyond, when does that start? Because it was a father out here passing out mug shots and calling people primates. And I was saying, hold on, man, like running up on or getting involved and tangled with Hall of Famers like Bernard Hopkins, like one of the greatest to ever lace them up. And I was saying, okay, when is enough? I don't ever recall Senior doing none of that. I just recall him just talking about his son. But I seen because of, people ready to pull up, two internet personalities ready to pull up and smoke each other or do whatever happens. When you talking about Chicago or Philly, man, I mean, you already know. So I see the divide and conquer strategy in full effect. But I see this man coming out and promoting his son. And at the end of the day, because I'm always keeping score, I look at both sides. I'd be like, okay, cool. One could say that Senior pulled one notch below what Frank Martin did. With Frank Martin, it was already John Hancock. It was already done, and he said, oh, nope, nah. This is one notch below, whereas he could have called Eddie and Boots and them bluff and say, you know what, I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna go ahead and take it. I'm gonna go ahead and take it, and he could have called their bluff. He didn't do that. He just countered back. He's looked at a duck because of that. But Frank Martin with a John Hancock let some people say, so you had to sit this conversation out. If you said that what Frank Martin did was not a duck, you would have to sit this conversation out. Because all this man did was counter, and he's being perceived like, yes. I look at it like, okay, you one notch below because, you could have called their bluff. You could have took that bread, and then we could have got it on. However, we got to get into some timelines because it was already established that the man was going to have to defend the man. He was going to have to defend the mandatory. It was a purse bid on the way and was all kind of other things. But we don't know that's the present time. We just fans getting caught up like ping pongs in the racket, being smacked back and forth, east and west, about the topic. So I'm looking at it like, okay, well, you could say that, but knowing how people look at you, even if you got knocked on his ass back, like some people's talking points to this day is that, no, anyway got knocked down by Neary. And that's their whole thing as to why he ain't shit. Now you're talking about a person that's in his fifth weight class, double undisputed. Won belts in 4 different weight classes. He's in his 5th weight class, won undisputed twice, and all they can talk about is how he got caught by a guy with a high knockout rate, who we went back to stop. People don't really want to talk about boxing. They just want to get toxic. So what this man did, he went on there and he explained himself and did this and this and that, and he held it down. And what I actually see and heard and what I deducted from it is, we know the business of boxing. We know that if you made it to that point, we already know that they didn't expect that man's son to make it that far. He went out there in Cali in the dude's backyard and knocked him out when he wasn't supposed to do that. He wasn't the favorite in that fight. It's some people where you hard pressed to look back at their resume where they won where a belt was on the line and they weren't the favorite. You can scrub resumes all day and you ain't gonna find that when it comes to your favorite. But he did that. See, this is not about who you voting for, right and wrong. This is about the action, the behavior, what actually happened, the facts. This is not opinion-based content. But he went in the man's backyard and knocked him out and took his strap. And if you wasn't expected to pull that out, to me, it looked like you in the driver's seat. But I tend to look at things a little bit different. I try to be a little bit more patient. Why? Because shit, this is just something that I do to keep me out of trouble. But it's the sport I love. A violent gladiator sport. So I look at it like, man, look, if you knew you had that fight going on and you gonna sit up here and try to entertain something with this man trying to get as much as you can, just they be saying they got it like that, hey, don't just talk to me, show me. So his mindset was like, look, I said, man, shit, if you can produce these kind of numbers, I say fuck that fight. Rightfully so. If you got a number in my, because I remember when a walking Hall of Famer was in negotiations and it was deemed that he could just ask for more money or that he could just walk away from the table. I remember when Caleb Plant was the last man standing and Canelo left him at the altar because Caleb Plant was just saying, just give me a 10 mil. You're going to need this to complete the cipher anyway. Just pay me this. Canelo left him. Caleb was stuck. So it's important times when your favorite fighter, when he have a belt, he can justify how he moves. But now this man's son got a belt, he can't justify how he moves. I don't be trying to get caught up in none of that. I just be looking at all the moves and I be looking at the fact that we didn't get the fight, but we got the great divide. Because there's people in Philly just, there's anything Boots say or do, anything the man father say or do, they getting so disrespectful, they acting like this, they doing that. I'm like, listen, man, you mad? Like, what are you mad about? Because it looks like to me like this man got a fight on the undercard in the market of people that it's going to cater to people that look like him. He going to put on a show. He going to get another defense under his belt. He ain't going to make as much money, but it's so crazy because the weirdest person in the world, the one who I was like, man, the guy who came in and said, listen, man, he came on and said, listen, man, like it's too much pocket watching, man. You would never think that guy would be the voice of reason in any situation. But they love him because he's a character online. But he was the voice of reason. He said, listen, man, it's too much pocket watching. If them guys are content with getting what they gonna get, and they not gonna pull a T.O., because remember when T.O. thought he was gonna want up Top Rank and he went and did some other shit and he got his belt popped off, how was he received back at Top Rank? He had to go back down in the basement and work his way back up, didn't he? Maybe this guy didn't want to do that. And I'm not going to be the pacifist. I'm not going to be the defense attorney. I'm not. I'm just looking at it objectively. Like at the end of the day, man, either way, we both lost. But then I fast forward and I start looking at the other side. So you got a whole splintered fan base right now that's kind of mad at the Normans for not just taking whatever. Not realizing that it was already going to be a purse bid and it was already some things going on with the defense of that belt and all that. And so that was being played because they knew more than likely that when they sent that first thing, if the Norman didn't just put a John Hancock, accept whatever and send it back, that fight absolutely wasn't going to happen. And how many times have we heard that a fighter got something signed, he put his signature on it and they never heard back? Because I've been watching so long, I remember when Mr. Greg Russell finally got Bill Haney on the line after they had already had some stuff. And Greg Russell was hot. The first thing he did was check Bill. He said, you know what? Hold on, man. When I said this and this and that, he said, I ain't hear from you. Bill got quiet. He said, but I ain't hear. He said, I know, man. He said, look, I got back with the network. They wasn't messing with the number. First thing Mr. Gary Russell said, he said, well, at least you could have got back. You know how long Gary Russell and them got slandered? I think that might have been the beginning of the end for whatever they got going on, because they've been stagnant ever since. Except for Antoine, he got motion. But this divide and conquer, all it does is it just creates these splinters amongst the fan bases. People get toxic and all crazy with each other. At the end of the day, we don't get the fights, but we don't really look at the real culprit either. Listen to me, man. The real culprit is Eddie, man. When these guys sign up for fights and they get ready to do their thing and there's numbers involved and there's contracts in place, we not in those rooms. What I look like getting up on a channel talking to a boxer and his father trying to tell them what I have no idea what I'm talking about or looking at. So if so happen they go on to make the conquest and go on to be great and do great things, I would see why they would say, man, kiss my ass with your tongue out. Because all you trying to do is be sloppy and messy. At the end of the day, man, you didn't ask me about the opponent coming up. You could have caught me off guard and asked me about him, and if I was slipping on my pimping, I wouldn't have been able to told you nothing about him. But I'm sure they already know who he is. And the whole thing is, Brian Norman, he kind of learning from Devin a little bit, because Devin was letting Bill do all the talking and the promoting. But it's different now that Norman Sr. doing it. I know they say it's different now that Schofield be doing his thing, but I see that it's a racket. It's a chitlin circuit that these guys go by because they don't want to come and rock with some people that don't really want to get no craziness, no messiness from them. Somebody just want them to, hey, get your story out, paint the picture so people can get to know your son and what they got going on and what's going on and why should we tune in to see him. He don't even get credit for being an actual boxer. So he one level above Bill, if you ask me, because he actually got in the ring. But we trying to shit on him. It don't make no sense to me. It's like we got our goggles on backwards. Why? Because on the other end, we looking at Boots in that situation because they say a bird in the hand is better than two in the bush. This man got a bird in the hand. He on the undercard. He still got time to promote. His shit etched in stone. This is going to get promoted by Top Rank. And he the undercard, so it's really on Keyshawn. What, I'm supposed to outshine Keyshawn in the promotional aspect? No, I'm supposed to, get with Keyshawn, figure out what they got going on, how we going to be able to promote this thing, and then, you know what I'm saying? But let him be the star player. Because sometimes you can't always be the star. Sometimes you got to be able to play second fiddle. But because people don't really know how to work together, they just know how to run their mouths together, they don't know how to work together. Sometimes you got to be the second guy. Sometimes you ain't going to be the leading role. Sometimes you got to be the driver, not the shooter. So what? He taking the back seat. He's still fighting. And when he explained it, he said, hey, listen, we already knew we had this in the bag. We were playing with the church's money. We were trying to run it up. Don't tell me you love me. Show me. Otherwise, we're going to keep doing our thing. Why? Because we was going to have to do our thing with or without you. I got to respect that. Why? Because that's how the ops think. Earl had 3 straps in the same division. Got his ass waxed by Bud in the same division. And they talk about this man like he ain't did shit. People are waiting and watching. Earl's father was heavily involved, but he knew enough to let a coach be there. This man actually put on the gloves, got him to where he is, a step above what Devin Haney is, even though he ushered Devin into getting the master tutelage from the Mayweathers, which was great. Then he went and was able to show he can do business with all these different people, which was good. But this man actually put in the gloves. He just trying to represent. And out of the blue, his name was popped up. Who else popped up today online talking about that boxing? Who else got the internet waves popping about boxing? You're taking it by storm, but if you really listen to what's going on, like, you really shouldn't be mad. It shouldn't be a whole city against another city. Why? Because eventually y'all gonna have to fight. But y'all want somebody to get smoked and then it can't nobody fight there no more? Because we still got to look back at what Boots going on. Now, there's been recent news about Boots that then came out, and we got to, it's a lot of head scratching going on. Why? Because we found out that Eddie didn't put down enough money for the purse bid. Now, Boots might have to scoot to Germany on some foreign shit. And then if he move up, the only names is still on some foreign shit. He might have to drop his belt after all this Norman shit. And then more news came out where it was like Cromwell got lowballed. It's looking bad, but everybody wanted to point the finger at Norman. All he was doing was staying relevant on the internet. We don't know what Junior was doing. If I had my guess, he probably was running. He probably was hitting the bag. He probably was looking at some film. I don't know what he was doing, but he wasn't online. We don't know what he was doing. Nobody even asked about that. We just getting divided and conquered, man. We just getting pitted up against each other because I hear the disdain, I hear the hate, I hear the all that. It's like, yeah, you can have whatever emotions depending on whoever you like, but at the end of the day, we get played. Why? Because if these young brothers was not in there getting paid to box, guess what they be doing? They might be going upside your fucking head. They might be outside being enforcers. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you can't be controlled, you can't be controlled. You could be doing a lot of other things, but they're doing it the right way. And I don't think that we should really get too far offline. Why? Because we've seen what happens when you go against your promotional company. Yeah, you might settle everything, but we've seen, like, T.O. still going through it. T.O. is still not, based on talent and skill and where he should be and what he should get paid. He's still not where he at. And why? He got a spanking by Bob. It's a program going on, man, and we conveniently forget that it's business involved. But we'll try to tell somebody five of what they should and shouldn't be doing. Knowing damn well if that man gets sat down on his ass bag, he might never make it back. Black. Why? He's a tough out. Look at Sabril Matias. Who knocking on his door? Who said, oh shit, man, I've been one. I still want Matias. I could do the same thing Liam Poirot do. Who's saying that? Nobody. Nobody. Don't get played, man. Like, look at this for what it is, man. This is a new era where sometimes they'll tell you that you got to promote yourself online. Well, he doing it. He doing the promotion. And I'm not seeing them putting out no mug shots. I'm not seeing them call nobody no primates. He just building up what he got going on, man. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But don't get distracted. Don't go out here and smoke your fellow fan when we ain't even get to see them two get the knock boots. No diddy. The real question is what Eddie's doing. What is Eddie doing? That's the real question. Like, that's what we really got to be asking ourselves, man. Like, don't get distracted, man. Don't be having cities go against cities and somebody, all this bad blood and people just saying all kind of crazy stuff, because sometimes people want to be Muslim and other times they not. Like, I don't know, man. I mean, when you claim to be something that you know what I'm saying, when you united and you are supposed to be a part of something, you are basically judged by the fact whether or not you acting like you a part of that something. It's like, at the end of the day, man, you gotta look at it, man. These guys got handlers, man. Bob is handling one, some of them. You know, Al is managing, you know what I'm saying, whoever he's managing. Eddie got whoever he got. You got Queensberry, they doing their thing. So they all being handled, man. They all have a plan. what I need you to do is start looking and look at this divide and conquer thing that they'll have us doing. They had us doing it with Earl and Bud. And I'm not saying we got to sing Kumbaya. I'm not saying we can't talk about how Boots going to do this and do that and how, you know what I'm saying? We could talk about that. I'm not saying we ain't got to sit down and sing Kumbaya. I'm just saying let's stop getting played. Let's stop getting manipulated, man. There's people that be sitting around with their thumb in their ass. They ain't got nothing to do. They'll stir up some shit and have you going out there looking all crazy, the narrative being painted when people are not even looking at the score. We don't even know yet. We know this man got a fight in November and we know who he is. Ain't no short camp, ain't no rush, ain't no rush promotion, none of that. That's on Keyshawn card. Keyshawn got to promote this. He got to be the star player. Top Rank gonna roll this out. Just like when they did that with Big Baby, they let him do his thing, do his walk, all that. DB3, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, he taking the back seat to DB3. That who else would be on the card? Shit, if you just happen to have a belt, why not? It's still time. He's not being asked about that though. He's not being asked those kind of questions. Like, well, what about the opponent and all that? Everybody's still stuck on the Boots thing. Meanwhile, where are all the questions about, okay, what's Eddie's plans with Boots? Where's all the question about, okay, well, shit, why are you talking about, okay, well, if it was an alleged offer, then there is some truth to the fact that you're going to go to 54 then, right? So that means we confused, and that opened up a whole nother can of worms because we thought you said you wanted to be undisputed at welterweight at 47. I thought that would be the best thing because then you would actually have the accolade so these people actually could start trying to fight you. Because right now they just said there ain't enough money and what you got to offer. So that opened up a whole can of worms about what did you want undisputed at 47? Was you saying Spence and Bud for no reason? Because I thought you were just waiting your turn and you knew that just wasn't your era. So now you got people pointing out that you was jumping from this line to that line. People just now revisiting the Cameron fight and saying, oh, okay, well, now I have to go back and look. When I was doing it in real time, saying, listen, to all y'all people that were saying Karan ran, I said, that's not what I saw. I said, I actually seen him get touched. I seen him actually whiff, spin around. I got all the hate. That's when I said, man, I can't do but so many Boots videos because, man, if you say anything critical, man, they at your neck. Anything. And it's just like, man, we critical about everybody else, but now everybody's coming back around doing their critique. The only thing that saves me is my video is still up. And I'm gonna have to do you remember the time when I actually was fair and honest back then? And that's what, and people don't want to see that again. That's the whole thing. There was a lot of people that said they don't want to see that again. Me, I'm like, man, I don't, to me, I really don't care. You know what I'm saying? I really don't care, but I did want to see, I thought that maybe the Boots and Norman thing should get done. And if you at a point in time where you got 32 fights, 29 knockouts, you already got the belt, all you trying to do is build your name and get legacy, maybe you might have to sacrifice just a pinch just to get shit over the line so you can get that accolade. There was an accolade to be had. So I'm like, if you got Sugar Daddy Sheik in your back pocket, why didn't Eddie say, man, Sheik, sprinkle something on this? And then when we look at the purse bid, you actually lost that. You didn't even put enough money up to win the purse bid. So that if your man stay down there, you have to go over to Germany and do that. Now, it will be a feat. Like Pop said, it'll be a feat for him to go over there in his own backyard and knock him out, because that's Germany if you do that. But then again, if you go the distance and it's down to the judging and the scorecards, whether or not you got to sleep, whether or not you went over there in enough time to get used to that time zone change, I don't know. If you ever been over to Iraq or Kuwait or Korea, you might know. It takes some time to get adjusted. But we have no answers, and everybody want to grill this man about his son. Yeah, he got to fight, but everybody want to grill this man. No, keep your eye on the prize. And let's keep score about what's really going on. They're dividing and conquering the fan bases. Why? Because we getting all toxic with each other. I'm in Baltimore. I'm in between. I'm closer to Philly, but I'm in Baltimore. Atlanta used to be my second home. Why would I want to see Atlanta and Philly beefing? They ain't, and the fighters ain't even fighting. There are certain fights that should have happened right here in Maryland, like a Tank and a Mr. Gary Russell fight. It should happen right here in MGM Grand or one of these places down here. It should happen, but you know why it probably never happened? Because of the violence. Because of the violence. It'll probably never happen because of the violence. And that's a shame. That fight probably would never happen down here because of the violence. The people going to their cars, or the people from Baltimore, DC, Maryland, or these people from this immediate era, that fight probably wouldn't happen. Why do we want to create that? We want to see them get in the ring and fight each other, but we ain't gonna get there. Between the fanages and the people that want to pull up and smoke each other, there ain't gonna be too many fans left to watch the fight. Had the physical ability to buy the fight. Let's keep our eyes on the big picture, man. Are we getting the fights or not? You know what I'm saying? Are you paying attention to the end goal? You know what I'm saying? Because the end goal is, we don't know what's going on with Boots. We know Brian Norman got a fight. And every time you get up there, you can paint it in a negative light, like, yeah, you on somebody undercard and this and this and this. Like, no, yeah, I'm riding shotgun on this one. We're going to go ahead and grab some of this Norfolk, Virginia fan base. We're going to put on the show. We're going to kick down the door. We come in to fight. And we'll see what happened after that. Because the way he explained it was either don't fight for the rest of the year or have that. So he was like, shit, we're gonna stay active. But staying active is okay when somebody like Shakur jump off a whole label and go get somebody from across seas and say that he's staying busy to defend his belt against somebody who just got knocked out. That'll be okay. That'll be okay. That'll be okay. And I remember when the news broke that the Avenesian fight was going on, and people started asking, but they said, hold on, man, so you was negotiating with Al and Earl and them, but then when people did the math, they said, hold on, you had to be working on this play with Avenesian around this time. People can recall that. But what Senior did was he knew he had a bird in hand. He was going for two in the bush. And it didn't happen. He still had a bird in the hand. People don't want to see the end goal and the end results and really judge it for what it is, but that's really what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can either enjoy the man when he's around because we don't know what's happening. You know what I'm saying? I was saying, man, Brian Norman might be Cinderella, man. Why? Because they didn't expect him to go over there and do that to Santillan. He went over there and knocked the way that dude did Rocha. He went over there and knocked his block up. You go back and you look at that fight. I was watching that fight. He broke him down. You can say what you want about competition, but he's been tested. People saying, oh, he might be chinny, he might be this, but it's something about somebody who don't mind getting touched. But you know they're going to touch you. You know what I'm saying? Everybody not in there trying to not, you know what I'm saying? Everybody not in there trying to, they know that it's a sweet science of hit and not get hit. But there's some people in there like, man, shit, I already know I'm going to get hit, man. But I'm going to avoid the best. I'm going to implement my game, but I'm not in here worrying about getting hit. You know what I'm saying? Like, you in there worrying about getting hit, you're going to get hit. It's some people that go in there and they don't care about getting hit. It's a calculated risk. And that's what happened when you fight the gladiator sport. Like, who knows what's going to happen in any of these fights? You know what I'm saying? It's a whole division being discounted as being no names and not worth nothing when you got a whole bunch of junior welterweights that are welterweights in disguise. Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney. They'll let Ryan talk and engage with a fighter, goddamn it. And he was engaging with a fight with Caleb Plant. He was engaging with a fight with Boots. He was engaging with a fight with Errol Spence at one point in time. They were saying all this, like, you can let him engage in whatever weight class. In whatever weight class. And then I heard them say, and people post, that it would be okay for Ryan Garcia to meet Rayo if that fight ever happened at a catch weight. But then they'll blame Tank for allowing Ryan to be 136 and then putting him on a rehydration. It's like we don't make up, but then they'll condone Devin going over for the IBF to fight Liam Paro. That's under the IBF, knowing goddamn well that Devin blows up 25 or more pounds the next day. Trying to sneak that by talking about it's going to be a unification. No, it is not. But they'll justify him sucking down. Why? Because Boots there. And that's what the push was for Boots to go up to 54. As long as Boots still at 47, Devin ain't touching that weight class. I don't think he's gonna allow it to I don't think he's gonna allow it to go down in the history books to where them guys shared the same division at the same time. I almost think that it's gonna be like that with Shakur, him and Shakur. I don't know, only time will tell, but if you go back and connect the dots and not be emotional and listen to what I'm saying, if you look at the history books, the outcome of what I'm saying, when have they shared the same division? When will they? I'm going to be around and only time will tell. I'm just saying, don't get divided by these people that'll grab some shit, stir some shit up, have you all twisted around instead of figuring out what we need to be figuring out going forward and being solution oriented. We'll be stuck like crabs in the mud. I'm from the popular opinion where they say, get your mind right. Get it on your sleeve. Let me look at these comments. Body work, body work, body work. I tried to Beetlejuice your name so you could appear, so we could hear that work sounding good. Salute Cookie Monster. What's good, Body Smoke Session Sports Entertainment? Subscribe to him. He had a wonderful interview. I'm trying to chop and screw that guy for us, man, but it's just too long, man. It's too long for me to play with in that format. So I gotta chop it and make sure the volume is good. His twin Bodywork. Salute, fam. Salute, salute. But I know I put a lot on everybody's mind, and I said a lot, man. I just don't want us to get played in this boxing conversation, for real, for real. And I know this was going to be one of them ones that probably wasn't going to get the congregation jumping for joy. But who am I to deny the people that might take the time to listen to me the privilege of knowing what's on my mind? And that's the way I see it, man. Let's not get played, man. Let's not get spunked around. Let's not get, keep score. Look at the end results and look at what we're getting in. And let's start putting the focus on Eddie, man. Eddie got to be considered, man, in all of this. Why? Because he's the one that didn't win the purse bid. He's the one that, yeah, he sent the contract, but then when that didn't happen, I mean, who do we blame for not getting across the finish line? We already hearing about another low ball offer with Conwell, saying he can get twice as much to fight Virgil. That's not a good look. We were talking on Pop Channel. We were saying, the option is Boachuk and Madrimal. And to me, them guys not even like the best guys in the division. I had Boachuk pulling that out against Virgil. I once had Virgil at the dark horse at 47, but then we seen, in time, we got to consider the lack of activity, then the moving up, and then the performances, not getting around, how you look. He touched the canvas twice in the last fight, and Boachuk did it. So now it's looking like you're going to move up, and if you don't get one of them fights with one of them names, you're going to be in the same situation that you are at welterweight. Whereas people are going to be able to say, yeah, you got 32 fights with 29 knockouts. Yes, you have common opponents with Bud. But what do you have to offer? Especially if the money ain't what we're going to say we need to get in the ring. And I remember when Bozy said that 16 people turned him down. Now, people was not signing up. They was not ringing Boots' doorbell to get in there. But I think at some point in time, as they built the profile, he was putting on the clinics and knocking people out. At some point in time, they had to consider that, yeah, people gonna want a little bit of bread to get in there. If you catch a starving artist, you catch one of these starving artists, like one of these ones who just want an opportunity, you know what they use against them guys. There's plenty of starving artists that pretty much should have got an opportunity. But because they're starving artists, meaning that this guy, nobody knows him. Will be seen and heard about him in the gyms. And I'm not sure we're really ready to let him loose on one of our marquee guys. Why? Because we have plans. Don't you know that some people come along and they ruin plans? Norman coming by and doing that to Santillan ruined plans. Why? Because they built Rocha, Santillan was built off of him beating Rocha. Rocha beat Blair Cobbs. But Santillan them up. He wasn't supposed to be there. You know that song? How did we get here? Nobody's supposed to be. Like, yeah, he wasn't supposed to be there. He beat the odds. Now, I'm not condoning like how people move and this and that. That's not my place. I just look at it overall when it's all said and done and say, you know what? We won't know until the next move. Like, we didn't know that when Frank said no, and up until we knew that it was a done data where he was actually gonna get in there with Tank, that people were saying, nah, man, that's nah, man. You should have fought. I still say you should have fought Shakur. Why? Because nobody was expecting you to win. So if you lost, you can still say, well, look, I gave Shakur a hard time. And I also came back and said, if Frank Martin knew he was going to get the kind of Shakur that fought De Los Santos, would he be kicking himself in the tail for not fighting him? Because in real time, I was saying, listen, man, you're going to avoid a fight with Shakur Stevenson, who nobody expected you to win, to go get knocked out by Tank. That's in the history books. I was saying that, wow, that's on wax. I said that what was going to happen. We didn't know until the Tank fight was landed, like actually done, that it's okay, well, cool, that's the bigger name, that's the bigger fight. That's how people was used to justify that. We're not going to know until Boots' next move. Because if Boots go up to 54 and somebody spark him, or if he go over to Germany and he get robbed in the scorecards and that belt stay overseas, you're going to have a whole lot of hindsight at 2020 looking at us coming back saying, I told you, man, it was wrong. It was bad. Just like all the hindsight people when I was saying that it was April Fools with this Devin stuff. And I said, man, he don't got no business going to go play in that sandbox with Ryan. But look at him. You should have gave Subriel Matias. That would have been a unification. Why? He was a boogeyman. All of a sudden, he doubling the back. He doubling back around, not going back for his spot where Puello got his strap. He going to go see Liam Paro, but wouldn't see Matias. And Matias signed with Eddie to get one of these names. I'm sure Boots signed with Eddie to try to get Conor Ben, but that's not happening. So I'm saying, man, lighten up on Senior, man, and look at it for what it is, man. I ain't saying that you got smoke for him, you got smoke for him. I'm definitely not here to play crossing guard or roll guard or put up no shield, but I'm just saying, let's use our critical thinking skills and think about shit before we get ping-ponged all around once again. Because watch, I wanted to come out and do this late night because I know that tomorrow, it's going to be all kind of narratives flowing. It's going to be all kind of shit. Somebody going to grab a hold of a sound bite, and that's going to be the topic of the day where people just ping-pong, ping-pong. Nobody going to ask Senior about Quavers. Nobody going to try to get Junior on. Nobody going to ask no real legitimate questions unless it is to slander them. And I'm wanting to see where all the interviews, where all the takes from the people from Boots side about the next move, because it's real quiet. And it looked like Norman took he took internet by storm. That's why I called him Storm and Norman. Promoting his son. Not being egregious. Maybe a little too transparent. I don't know. I'm here to put stakes in the ground. I'm here to be the voice of reason, logic, patience, timing. That beat all these speedy guys who want to be, oh man, I'm out here, I'm out. Yeah, I just time their ass. That's all. That's it, man. Like, let's not go crazy, man. Let's not go crazy. Let's use our mind, our thinking skills, our critical thinking skills, because I think I said this before, man. We gotta start looking at the handlers. Because those are the guys that actually have the relationship with the networks. And they actually have the real pull. We learned from Errol Spence and Bud that what it took for two fighters to get on the phone and actually start talking to each other to actually get the fight. The people that were behind them at the time had totally different opinions about what going on. What going? Oh, you want to fight me? They hashed it out. It took two fighters to get on the phone to make a fight happen. And that's how we got it. But the handlers didn't want that to happen. That's just if you keeping it real. That's just if you've been doing your research. That's just been if you've been keeping score. So when two fighters want to fight, it ain't gonna be, oh, I'm gonna go over here just to see if my team got. No, when two fighters, because if you can text, if something happened behind closed doors and you beefing, and it's so much bigger than boxing, but somehow it's communication through text, you mean to tell me that if you say, all right, look, we about ready to do this, you don't know how to get through? I've been saying for years, man, we as fans be getting played. They'll ping pong us using these rackets just so we be like, oh yeah, ready to pull up, ready to do something crazy. We don't get to fight. Just a whole bunch of hostility, a whole bunch of stale ass talking points. That's what we get. I'm just keeping score, man. I'm just the scorekeeper, man. Not the most popular job. You know, when you go into those corporate meetings and somebody got to take the minutes. That's me. You know what I'm saying? In real time. Not the most popular. They're going to get the congregation jumping for joy. But you know, body work got to still make that noise. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. Bloodshot, salute Bodywork, what's good? Salute Bloodshot, man, good to see you. Hope everything is going well. But yeah, man, we in a different era, and I think boxing dads have evolved. I wanted to do a piece with Schofield Sr. A while ago. Why? Because people, these guys, they hitting the Chitlin circuit, and when you go to the Chitlin circuit, if you're not a fan that they can use where they can just have you jump on and be a part of it all the time, you will get slandered, Holmes. So anything, that's just like when they say anything you say can and will be used against you. That's going to happen when you go to the wrong places. Who am I though? Who am I? But we also in an era when you're dealing with the 48 laws of power where any publicity is good publicity. Some people live by that. But I think the Schofields, the narrative on them are getting painted dirty. And I'm just like, man, they all doing the same thing. Only they're not being as egregious as somebody else was just before. And nobody had anything to say. They just waited till that man got knocked on his ass bag and was looking real sad, Black, before they actually came around the term to say, hey, man, we shouldn't be doing all that. So now these fathers just promoting their sons. They catching a whole lot of flack. They getting double teamed on interviews. Like, people are ambushing them. I mean, I'm like, did you bring somebody in here just to jug them? Like, where are we going with this? What can we learn from this? Because a lot of the time, people walking away with the negative energy. And it's just really the father just trying to maintain some kind of level of respect. And to my understanding, ironically, these two actually fought before. They were actually fighters with sons that are fighters. So now they're not even getting looked at. We know Bozy is, so that's why he get the respect. And Bozy's not doing the same thing. He's not out there like that. He'll say certain things and people, you know what I'm saying, he'll get different energy at certain times. But Boze's not really known for that rah-rah like that. He's not. But it's crazy that these two guys were actually fighters with sons that are fighters, and the narrative is totally different. It's just part of the divide and conquer strategy. It's just part of the divide and conquer strategy they've been using just to keep us in. And I seen Bills earlier today when I was over there with Pop. He said that they'll have you going back into how much they getting paid and this and this, that going back. He said they'll have you looking at that, going back and forth so much that you don't even realize that we didn't get the fight, and you won't pay attention as to why we didn't get the fight. Why didn't we get the fight? Why? Because this mandatory was coming down the pike, and realistically, it was no way that fight was going to happen, actually. They both knew that. Unless the numbers were right and they could just get it to a point to where, okay, cool, it was going to blow up. But realistically, when you look at the timeline, when you look at the mandatory, when you look at all of that stuff, realistically, it wasn't going to go down. Us fans got played. I be trying to tell y'all, don't like with the Shakur and Tank stuff. We know that's the Cold War. We can get ping pong back and forth. We can get stressed. We can have somebody run up on somebody. We can do all this crazy stuff. But if the fight ain't ready, it ain't ready. We ain't getting it. The handlers have full control. We can debate, characterize, give a synopsis, a summary, a reaction, a fake ass interview, a bunch of loaded questions. We're still not getting the fights. We're still not getting the fights. Not gonna have you jumping for joy, man, but this is meat and potatoes. This is fruits and veggies, not that Reggie. Fact-based content, not opinion-based. We know it's a business. I can recall Eddie saying some crazy things about Bud when he left Bob. He did the same thing because he kind of did that. Remember he did the bait and switch with Shakur when he said, you seen him before Shakur fought that last fight. He said, listen, I'm not sure if Shakur think he's going to get the same thing that he's going to get over there with Top Rank. He said that. Basically saying that him and Bob talking, he's like, I hope he doesn't think he's going to get that. He said that before. And people say that 5, whatever it is, I try not to pocket watch. They say that they said Eddie came by and said that no, that's not it. He getting paid handsomely, but that's not it. So I'm like, we can get all caught up in what they making and doing all this, but at the end of the day, who is Shakur Stevenson fighting? Is it him and Tank? Oh, okay. Is it him and Devin? Okay. Is it him and Schofield? No. Him and Mortaya? No. Tevin Farmer? No. De Los Santos too? No. No way you're gonna say Abdullah, because that's his young guy. Bridges and Hitchens? No. T.O.? No. Okay. Cordina? Yes. Okay. We can get caught up in what they getting paid and why they chose to do this, All I know is we ain't get Tank and Shakur. We getting some other stuff. A fight we probably don't mind seeing. That's what we getting. Brian Norman, we getting to see him against Cuervos. We getting to see Boots against who knows. That's to be determined. Some time gotta go by. Some interviews gotta be had. People gotta talk their stuff, paint their narrative, sling their shit. You know what I'm saying? Stir the boat this way, get the distraction going that way. Bring up some old funky shit from the past, from like 2021, just to spark a conversation and see. You know, I call it the linguine effect. Just throw a whole bunch of noodles on the fridge and see which one sticks. That's what they doing. Let's keep score. Let's be responsible in our conversation. Let's not just remember business when it applies to defending our favorite fighter. You know what I'm saying? Because we got to keep that same energy. Boxing dads are evolving. Especially the ones that actually put on gloves and is part of the promotion and doing the interviews and being transparent. Whether they're too transparent, not sure. Sometimes some things can be kept close to the vest, because when you got fans that are fanboy and put on knee pads and spray throat coat and use tonsil jewelry and create all kind of contraptions, man, they'll paint that narrative bad about you, man, when these are our fighters. This is not a guy that's fight across the pond. This is a guy that fights in Atlanta, Georgia. And Atlanta, Georgia is known for a lot of other things. Him and his son is known for, they're trying to be put on the map for boxing. You know what I'm saying? I hope they get a fair shake. I hope the Schofields get a fair shake. I hope that Boots and Bozy know what's going on over there with Eddie, man, because I don't know. They can, these different channels, the same one to interview, they always interview everybody else and pull the dirty, nasty stuff out of them, but we don't never really hear what we need to hear about Boots and them. At least I don't come across those interviews. I don't ever really get anything. Who am I? You know what I'm saying? This is the guy that's keeping track of the score. That's it. I just want to lay something on your mind, man. That's really what it was. I wasn't going to talk much about it. It's just something that I think needed to be put on wax, because this is a stake in the ground. We got to start looking at Eddie and these low ball offers. We got to start looking at Eddie and him acquiring talent and then not making these fights cross the finish line. Because if you're going to point the finger at somebody, it wouldn't be the guy that signed over there with Top Rank about to get permission to come across the street. You couldn't put the onus on him. You have to put the onus on the guy who signed him. Because I know if I was a father and I gave you my son and I had him sign and I signed him over to you, we both responsible for what's going on. It ain't gonna be the guy that's not signed to you. But that's perception versus reality. That makes too much sense. That's more like how we deal out in real life, not like how we deal online, right? If my son is signed to you, me and you are responsible for what's going on, not somebody else that's not signed to you. We can try to make that make sense in all the different ways we want. At the end of the day, in real life, in real world, like where they have sandboxes, concrete, oil, that kind of stuff don't hold up. You can play dumb, but you can't play smart, man. And I just hope that they don't keep, I call this Divide and Conquer 2. I call this Divide and Conquer 2, and because this was the thumbnail for Divide and Conquer the first time I did this. It's just something I've been realizing, man. This is what they're doing with us. And when you look at it on any given conversation, any topic around it, they divide and conquer us. At the end of the day, we don't get to see none of them fight. Not each other. I talked about how Eddie just got this guy. He's in that Matchroom maze. It looked like Boots in that Matchroom maze too. We don't know if he's going to sprinkle something on it and get something across the finish line. We don't know. We just know that that's who that's who we look at him as. We should be getting this, but that's a Cold War. They're gonna marinate this. Hopefully, this don't get like what Manny and Floyd got to. Hopefully, it don't be that long. But people trying to say that this division ain't nothing, and I'm like, man, hey, let them all fight. Do a round robin. If you got enough money, Turkey, do it. Put enough money to have these guys do a round robin, where it's enough money for all of them guys to mix it up. And at the end of the day, we'll get an undisputed. Let's do it the right way. Let's do it the right way. Turkey, if you got the bag, mate, let's do a round robin with all these guys. Since you got enough bag, these are the fights that we want. And at least somebody out of this division to come with an accolade. Because right now, Barrios is probably the only one. That's only because he shared the ring with so many different names. But if you got enough money, let's make this division right, because just because we got Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney, which are welterweights in disguise, Jermaine Ortiz, he might be a welterweight in disguise. Elvis Rodriguez, he might be a welterweight in disguise. We've seen Richardson Hitchens fighting under the 140 IBF, but I guarantee if he was fighting at 147, having all his strength, he might be a little bit better. The welterweight division is popping. It's just we got some welterweights in disguise, and 140 is treacherous. I used to say stop me when I'm lying, but nobody ever took the bait. If you catching this on the playback, man, let me know what you think about this. You know, it's just really food for thought. Something to get your mind going. Just a difference, an alternative. You know, I don't even know. I don't, you know, I'm leaning away between Norman and Norman Jr. and Boots. I'm leaning away. But the way boxing is, man, you just never know till they get in the ring. And I'd rather preserve my energy until it's time to make my pick. When they got a signed contract and we actually get them fight. Anything that I allow myself to get too stirred up about or whatever, why? What for what? We ain't getting the fight. These guys were able to use each other as promotion, but there's still some questions that we need answers to. Y'all know how I do, man. Fruits and veggies, not that Reggie. Boxing dads are taking over, man. Let's treat them as such, man. The game has evolved. They say you got to promote yourself. Let's steer the conversation to get and pull what we need out and not just be toxic. You know what I'm saying? That's just my thoughts. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not right all the time. Definitely not right all the time, man. I try to keep score, man, and look at things different. But thanks for tuning in here at Bodywork Boxing. But we don't take things for face value. We do that body work.
He didn't want to box. He wanted to actually prove that he could punch with you. He was like, what the fuck is this nigga, right? Oh, okay, you want to go to sleep. You tired.
Welcome to Body.